Hello. Today I am going to go over the makeup trends for summer. I'm going to do a full face of makeup, starting with primer, and then talk through some of the things I'm doing and how they are a trend for summer. I'm Jen, by the way, and I am a huge makeup enthusiast. I am not a professional makeup artist, but I have been passionate about makeup pretty much my entire life. So these are the things that I have learned, that I continue to learn, and I love makeup trends. I love freshening up my makeup. I love trying new things. So this will be fun. So I start off with my primer. I've already done a full face of skincare, and I'm going to start off with the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. This is a hack that I recently learned and started doing, and I'm obsessed with it. You do the Luminous Putty Primer, and then after this, we're going to put on the Super Grip Primer with niacinamide. And it sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's one extra step. It's not really that much more. And when I tell you that my makeup does not budge, I am not exaggerating. It does not budge all day long. So I put this on first. I kind of pat it in. I rub a little bit, but honestly, I like to just really pat in. I just feel like that really kind of gets it into the skin more. I avoid my eye area because I do something different there. So we'll get to that. Let that sit a little bit, just kind of let it absorb in. So maybe 30 seconds or so, not too terribly long, not as long as it takes to wait for your skincare to dry, that's for sure. So a little bit about me. This is my first live, so hopefully it goes well. And let's just tap in here the Super Grip Primer. I'm using that now. I love multi-use makeup, and when it is skincare and makeup, I don't do a lot. I mean, that's huge bonus. Number one, saves money. With this, I also just pat it in because same idea. I really want it to absorb into my skin. So multi-purpose, saves money, saves time for sure. And with all that makeup that we put on, I mean, why wouldn't you want it to be beneficial to your skin as well, right? Okay, so patting that in, just like I did with the Luminous Putty Primer. And we let that sit for a second or two as well, like 30 seconds. So as I said, I am a huge makeup enthusiast. I actually did consider becoming a professional makeup artist back in the 90s and even took classes at Cinema Secret, which was fantastic. Everything I learned then, well, not everything, but a lot of what I learned then is no longer really applicable. But I didn't end up going down that path, which is fine. But I think I like to dry my face also. I think that the universe has a way of kind of circling you back to what you're meant to do or what you're passionate about. And I got back into makeup about a year and a half ago. I'm 54, so I really had to relearn everything. All the tips and tricks that I used when I was in my 20s, in my 30s, even in my 40s, just no longer worked. So I had to relearn everything, new techniques, new things about makeup, specifically for mature skin, and it's been a journey over the past year and a half, that's for sure. All right, now I'm going to be using the 60-second Eye Effect by Westmore Beauty for underneath my eyes. And this really minimizes under eye bags and under eye circles. And it is magic. Just wait until you see. It is absolute magic. So as far as makeup trends for summer go, there's a few things that I keep reading about. You don't need a lot of that, about that much. And then you just swipe it. And then I also give it a kind of a pat. Just pat it in. And then you let it sit for 60 seconds. So I'm gonna just do this one right now so that you can see the difference, because it is phenomenal. So for makeup trends for summer, a few of the things that I keep seeing and that I'm gonna do today and that are consistent: metallic eyeshadows, more blush, as they say, because I think right now blush is really popular anyway. And if you think back to winter and that cold girl look with the blush on the apples of the cheeks, and even last summer with the sunburned look, right? Where it's heavy blush and then goes over the bridge of the nose. And that's the look I'm gonna do today. So more blush, that's another big one. And then a highlighter that I am absolutely obsessed with that kind of goes with the more blush, and a lipstick hack that I've been doing for years and I really love. So you can see this is already starting to work. You can see a difference between the two, and that will continue to activate. So it'll continue to get better. The directions say not to, you don't need to put anything on over it, and you really don't need a whole lot over it, but I do like to put just a touch of pink powder over it, but that is much later once it has fully dried. So we'll get to that near the end. And then pat that side in. And then I also do an eyeshadow primer on my lids. I like this one by Milani. So let's just get to that one. And I didn't used to know about eyeshadow primers. I didn't use them. I mean, I put foundation on my eyelids just to even out the color and the tone. And you don't need a lot of that either, just a smidge. But I didn't know about it until a couple years ago. And when I started using it, I was like, where has this been my whole life? Because what it does is, number one, it keeps your eyeshadow from smearing and creasing. And for those of us with more mature skin, that's a huge plus. And number two, it really makes the colors pop. So it really brightens them up and makes them stand out. So I love a good eyeshadow primer. And then I also like to do what's called underpainting. It's funny, these trends that become popular and people think they're new, and if you're of a certain age, it's not new. Almost nothing is new. But what that is doing your highlighter and your contouring underneath your foundation so that it kind of comes through like you're, as they say, lit from within. The reason I really do it is two reasons. Number one, because it saves me some product, because it means I don't need to put as much on. It's a much more subtle look, and it's more for shaping. And less product saves you money, saves you time, and you don't want to wear a ton of makeup. You want that look without having to wear just a face full of thick makeup. So for my face shape, I have a long face, as you can see here. I have what I like to call a 5 head. So I like to kind of do this technique where I go down and across the forehead like that. I don't really need to chisel out a lot of my cheekbone because my face is long. So what I do, I want to kind of make the apples of my cheek more pronounced so that my face looks fuller. So I actually take it from here and then draw up like that. And then I do a little bit on my chin because, again, I want to shorten my face. For the jowls and my neck area that I really do not want to call out, do a little bit down here. Because remember, with contour, this is shadow. So you want to push certain things back and make them less noticeable, and bring other things forward and highlight them. So the contour is for shaping and for helping to create those shadows. So also here in the jowl area, just do that there, do that there. And now I'm gonna go in with the highlighter. The highlighter there. And these were both Wet n Wild sticks. I'm almost out of this one, but this is the darker shade, obviously, that I use for my contour. And then I have a lighter shade, and I use that for my highlighter. And I really like them being in sticks like this because they're just so much easier with application and to get it the way you really want it. So I do a little bit here. And when you get older, right here, these start to hollow out. And again, a fuller face gives a more youthful appearance. So that's what I'm really trying to go for here. So I want to bring this out. So I'm gonna put the highlighter in there. And a touch up here. And then right here, because that kind of accentuates and highlights, giving you more of that bowed look on your lips. And then I'm gonna go up here, and that is gonna help me kind of clean up and differentiate between the blush and the darker shades here. So I'm not done. I'm also gonna go in with my blush. And for that, I am going to use the Saie Dewy Blush, which I have recently really become obsessed with their products. I have the foundation, which I'm gonna use, and this blush. And let me just, fair warning for you, when I tell you this is pigmented, I'm not joking. This is pigmented. So you don't need much at all. And again, I'm doing the underpainting right now. So I'm gonna go, if I go darker, that's fine because it's gonna bleed through. I'm gonna have some foundation under it, but I'm gonna also be putting more blush over. So I just kind of do a little bit here and here. And here's another makeup trend for summer. Dewy's not going anywhere. I know we hear things about like cloud makeup and things getting more matte, and I think that there are people doing that, but I'm still seeing that the dewy look is in, which makes me very happy because I love a good dewy look. So the blush, the Saie blush, is a dewy blush, so that kind of helps give you that dewy look. Okay, and now I am going to just blend. And I don't, I'm not super specific here, or I don't care if it doesn't blend all the way in, right? Because this is underpainting. So I am going to have my foundation over that. Anything I put on over that, of course, I want to blend out and be more precise. But for this part, I've even seen people put foundation on with it like that and then start blending. So I just kind of blended in a little bit here. For your jowls, lightly and tap down. Tap down. See how it's all going across there? I want that whole area to just go back. And I start with the darker colors first. With your highlighter, you do want to let that sit a little bit, maybe 30 seconds or so. It blends much easier when you do. Wiping my brush off of the dark concealer or dark contour. And now the blush. And again, I put on that 60-second eye effect, so I don't want a lot of makeup over that. I'll blend out the edges here, but right under here, I want to keep that. Okay, and now we are ready for the foundation. So again, makeup trend for summer, dewy look. Now, with summer heat, you don't necessarily have to use as many products or products that create as much dew as we do in the winter or fall, because we get that naturally by going out in the heat. But it is good to have a couple products that give you that natural kind of dewy look. I do not use a lot of this. I am also obsessed with the Saie foundation. Number one, it is the perfect match for me, and I have it in shade 10, and I'm not joking. I don't think I have ever gotten a foundation that matched my skin as well as this does. One thing I did notice, well, the first few times that I was using it, is it doesn't settle in up here, but for some reason it settles in around my mouth. And for me, that is a big area that I really try to work on, making sure I don't have things settle into my fine lines and wrinkles. Number one, because I hate these marionette lines. But number two, I have some scarring here, and those look like wrinkles. So it's even worse. So I'm just really cautious about that. So I just don't put it on there. And actually, I forgot. I do a little bit of mixing before I do that with some other things. So I take my Dermatology SPF 46 tinted moisturizer, and I do just a little bit of that. And then I actually mix that with my L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. I will never be without this. This is by far in my top 3 favorite makeup products of all time. This is, I think, my 3rd tube of it. Again, it helps add a glow, but a really natural looking glow. I just love it. I'm almost out of this one too, so to really squeeze to get that out. And then I warm that up in my hands, my fingers, and pat that in. Just a little bit underneath. I don't use a lot. Just put it over the underpainting. And then I go in with my foundation, which again is this Saie Glowy Skin Foundation. Absolutely love it. I do not use very much at all. I put just a little bit, and like that's too much. That is too much. And then I use their brush for that, which I also love. Love their foundation brush. Pat it in. Barely any in there at all. And I'm going to only go up to about here because, again, I don't want to go over the 60-second eye effect. And I'm going to avoid around my mouth. Look at that already. I mean, I can see it. That glow, it's just beautiful. And you can see, I mean, it just goes right into my skin. Almost an absolute perfect match. Okay, I think that is good. Now, what I do next is I use another foundation as my setting powder. It's the Laura Geller Baked Balance and Brighten. Bake, Balance, and Brighten. I love this stuff, but when you have mature skin, you have to be very, very, very careful of powder, obviously. This one's really, really good. So I have used this as my full face of foundation before, and it looks beautiful. But that is pretty heavy, especially for the summertime. But it helps color correct. So it's a foundation, but that baked balance, the balance part is it's helping to color correct and then brighten. So it also helps kind of bring out that bright, dewy glow. I don't do a lot, but I use it as my setting powder. And I tap it in. Again, my whole thing is this looks like a lot of product, and it may be as far as how many different things, but I'm not using a lot of any of it. And that I will go just a little bit around here. And I think that just kind of sets it in beautifully. So I love that. So the next thing I do are my eyebrows. And those are pretty tough. So I'm going to kind of try and go through that quickly just to show you what I do. But they may not be perfect because some days I get lucky and they go really well, and other days not so much. So I just want to get a shape in there. And I really love using the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Universal Stencil Kit. See that there? And I go in with that brown, this kind of taupe, and then that brown. I mix those together. Also, you can clean this up, so they don't have to look perfect at first. And mine, I'm going to say never do. But we can go in afterwards and really clean up the shape. So I'm not as concerned when I'm first putting it on that it is perfect and exactly how I want it, because I know I'm going to be able to go in later with some foundation and shape it. Like that front part is too thick right now for me, but that's okay. As with everything else, my right eye, much easier to do. You know, the trends for eyebrows are interesting. So again, they're not perfect, but I'll fix them up later. Because I really can't tell what the trend is. I keep trying to figure it out. And I'm still seeing that soap look, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan of for me. I think it looks great on some people, but for me, it's not my thing. And I really can't find a consistency on what is the trend for eyebrows for summer. So for me, the trend is if I can get them to be as even as possible and not too dark and not too light. And I'm happy with that because I cannot worry about the rest. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is Another product that I am absolutely obsessed with is the Skin Enhancer by Makeup by Mario. This stuff is so natural. And let's see if I have it in there. I'll have to add that in. Oh, there it is. This stuff is so natural. And somebody asked me, is that a bronzer? Is that a contour? And it's kind of neither. It's closer to a bronzer than anything else. What I love about it is it brings life to your face. It brings color to your face, but it is so natural. It doesn't look like a heavy, dark, bronzer that you're putting on and everybody can tell it's a bronzer. I mean, look, it looks so natural. And I just kind of tap it in the same places that I would do a bronzer. So in that way, yes, I would call it a bronzer because that's what I'm using it as. Kind of go along the jowl again. And really not a lot, but just enough to give myself a touch of color. But I use this in multiple ways. And like I said, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about it. So I'm going to use it to contour my nose. Not the best at that, but just kind of go down there. My goal is really with contouring my nose to try and even this out here because I have a bump and it's uneven up at the top. So do that and then just kind of contour around here. Again, trying to work with the fact that my face is long and wanting to make it a bit rounder looking. I'm also going to want to create the illusion of just a slightly smaller nose, shorter. Right. And I'm also going to use this in the crease of my eyes. I follow Wayne Goss on many different channels, and one of the things I see him do all the time, and it's just so smart, is creates a stencil out of just tissue paper and to help guide him, which is really genius because when you go into the crease there, that makeup just always falls. So another tip that I just saw him do to make the eyes appear bigger, and it's just so simple. Start here and you just kind of swipe all the way over till you get to the top of the bridge of your nose. And then he goes a bit in the corner and kind of blends like that. So we'll do that. And now let's do this side. Okay, I think that's good for now. Again, when I'm first putting makeup on, I don't care about being super precise because I can clean it up afterwards. I can take some concealer and smudge stuff out and blend and get things in there. So I don't, worry too much if it's not even or if it's going further than I want it to. I'm fine with that. All right, now for another big makeup trend for summer, metallics, which I absolutely love. And another thing, I think I got knocked off. Okay, the liquid metallic eyeshadows. So that's another really big trend for summer. And I am obsessed with e.l.f.'s liquid metallic eyeshadows and e.l.f.'s liquid glitter eyeshadows. So today I'm going to do the metallic in the shade Little Dipper, Big Dipper. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it is this nice pink shade. And it's really beautiful. So They have these in a lot of different colors. This one I find to be the most universal. I mean, you can use this with really any color or style of makeup that you're doing. So I put that all over the lid here. I think it's a nice fresh color for summer also, if you're gonna do a metallic during the daytime especially. Now this goes on a bit wet, but it does not take long to dry at all. So I just kind of let it sit there for a few minutes while I continue on with the rest of my makeup. So the next thing I'm going to do is my blush. Now the blush over. So because now this is over my makeup, and this is so very, very, very pigmented, this is how I'm going to put that on. I'm going to take it and put it on the back of my hand. That way I can kind of control more of how much that I put on. I mean, do you see that? And I really did not put a lot on, but that's okay. Blush, more blush, blush and more blush and more blush is a trend for summer. So this is right in line with that, which is why I chose it. That and the fact that it's beautiful and I love it. I always like to put it on my forehead, my chin, and across my nose a bit like that. So this is the sunburnt look, right? So tap and you just kind of go across like that, almost in really just one line over like that. Okay. And next is the lipstick. Newest obsession, the Superstay Crayon by Maybelline, and I am using, this one is in the shade Accept a Dare. I use it as my lip liner and then I fill in also. So I do that for two reasons. I do it because it's just easier when I'm lining my lips to go in all the way, but I'm also doing it because even if I'm using a lipstick that is supposed to be long lasting or stay all day, if it starts to fade, I've got a second layer. So this is, again, Accept a Dare. And what I love about this too is so easy to apply and so easy to do it. For me, it's really hard to line my lips and not go too far over on one side, not enough on another. And this one is really, really easy for that. Here's a hack for anybody who may want to appear to have fuller, juicier lips. And for those of us whose skin is starting to sag around the corners, you don't go all the way down to the corner. When you do it, you start to pull in right before you get to the corner. And then the same thing on the bottom. So you see, I didn't go all the way to the corners there. And now I'm going to fill that in, like I said. I recently did a color analysis on online color analysis, and it said that I am a soft autumn, which surprised me. I would never have guessed that I was soft autumn. I would have thought, I thought I was winter. But this color is one of the colors that's in the palette for soft autumn, and I would never have chosen this otherwise, and I absolutely love it. Okay, next I'm going to use the Maybelline Vinyl Ink Super Stay lipstick. And this is in the shade Koi. And it matches this liner really, really well. And here's another hack for you. Works so well and it's so easy. Remember, I don't want to go all the way to the corner. I want to stop right kind of before the corner. So put the Q-tip in there like that. Isn't that great? So much fun and so easy. That's why I love a hack, because it just makes things so much easier than not. And lipstick for me, it constantly goes in the corners if I don't do this. So on top of the fact that it just is, makes my lips look fuller, and for me at my age, you know, I'm not pulling down on my lips more than they already do, just makes everything easier. Okay, this is dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and tightline now. So that's the liner, but I don't put it over the top. Tightlining is when you take it, and I'm gonna take here this dark color. So this is just a really dark, 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 dark brown. And you go in between the lashes. And this is going to give you the effect of a liner there. But really what it does more than anything else is helps your eyelashes look fuller and thicker. I kind of push it in. And I don't do it on my bottom eyes. I tend to not do any eyeliner, makeup, or anything, and very little mascara on my bottom, because I've got this, you know, 60-second eye effect there. I don't want it flaking off or smudging onto it. And I have these dark circles, so I really don't want anything accentuating anything darker there. Now for the lipstick, one last thing I'm gonna do on that, because another trend for summer is glossy lips. We all love glossy lips, right? And I am going to use the City Beauty Lip Plumping Lip, the OG of lip plumpers, right? I think most people have heard about it. This one is in the shade San Diego. Absolutely gorgeous. I did not know that they had different shades. And this is a really pretty kind of rose gold, kind of like a rosy color with gold flecks. And so a perfect match for this. So I'm gonna put that on over. Again, making sure not to go all the way to the corner. Love that. Next, I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting, and I'm going to be using the Haus Labs gel-based highlighter in Rose Quartz. This stuff is absolutely stunning. And it's like 3 different shades in one. I mean, just stunning. Rose quartz. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but like it's a different kind of changes shades as you move it. Beautiful. Just gonna dab a little bit there and then tap it in right here. Can you see that? When I move, how it changes colors? Oh my God. Can you imagine out in the sun with the sun hitting that? Absolutely beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to just blend a little bit on my eyes. That's fully dry. And I'm going to go ahead and take the little stencil again and blend it in the corner here. Just to get it all blended in. I don't want to go too much over the e.l.f. eyeshadow because that's one of the big trends, the metallic eyeshadow. And now for the final step, mascara. And for that, I'm going to be using my Thrive mascara, the tubing mascara. Love this stuff. I'm actually almost out, so I'm gonna have to repurchase that. And I don't know if you know about tubing mascaras, but if you have any issues with smudging or flaking throughout the day, tubing mascaras are great. And it's exactly what it says. They create like little tubes around your eyelashes. So it actually, you take it off with just warm water. If you try to take it off with makeup remover, you'll be able to do it, but it's gonna be much harder. And if you take like a warm washcloth or microfiber towel and just kind of press it on there for maybe 15 seconds and then it'll just slide right off. Okay, being daytime, I don't need that to be too much, and I really am almost out of this stuff. I really need to repurchase, which I think I will do as soon as this is over. Another way you can tightline, so another little trick, which I discovered by accident, and I'm sure millions of women and girls have. I like to go underneath my eyelashes like this, and if you do it right on the line itself, you're tightlining. And so you're kind of doing your eyelashes and your tightlining all in one. So that makes this a multi-use product, which I love, and it saves time. For my bottom eyelashes, I just kind of swipe them a little bit like that. Again, especially on daytime, I don't need or want those to look super heavy. Just a little bit. And then for the final thing, one of my favorite hacks to do, and I think really good for the summer makeup trend, for that kind of glow and that dewiness and that metallic look. Take a little bit of this, put it on my finger, and then I just put it on the middle of my bottom lip. And that's it. Well, that's my first live. Thank you to anybody who joined. And if you liked it, give me a follow. And I hope you learned something or have a takeaway. And thanks for joining.